Hello, it's Alex Goodall here from Your Digital Ally with another video in my series about creating systems and processes for digital marketing. In this video, I'm going to give an example of a supposedly simple process which I can document using something like Evernote. For more complex processes or processes that require the use of data, I would document it using Google Sheets, and I'll give an example of that later on. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to show you a complete process here. I'm going to show you a draft process, and because the point of this video is to show my approach to using Evernote for documenting processes. So here is my Evernote Note with the process in it, and you can see there's nothing particularly clever about it, but it is a really effective way of documenting this type of process. And I'll go through it and I'll show you some of the features and why it's really useful. So first of all, it starts with choosing a topic, and it goes right through. The last thing is syndicating the content. So the point is, it talks about everything to do with creating a blog post. Because if you search for videos on YouTube that look at the search term creating a blog post, what you get back is advice on how to write good content and probably how to optimize it for human consumption and for the search engines. Now, that's obviously a key part of the overall process, and if you look here, I'll go through this in a minute, I link to a piece of guidance about that particular point where I record the information that I've learned from various places. But my goal here is to have a process that covers every single step related to the blog post. And actually, as I say that, it just occurred to me, so I'm just sort of thinking of the lifetime of a blog post and all the things associated with it. It's just occurred to me that there's another step that I might want to consider putting in. In fact, I'll make a little note here. So I might want to put something in about measuring the performance of the post. So let me just put something in here. So I'll put in a note in there. Think about measuring performance, update the business measurement process, ? Okay, the idea there is that I've actually got a process for measuring the business performance. It's not so much a process as a way of recording the information, but I identify exactly how to record the information. So I think that and I'm working on that for testing and tracking. And that little note there is going to just to remind me that I might want to put something in about measuring the performance of this particular blog post. Now, I probably wouldn't want to do that for every blog post, but there might be particular posts that it's important that I say, well, actually, I do want to see how well this one is doing. Maybe I've put in more effort into optimizing it or something like that, or I've got some form in there. So one of the reasons for having this documentation is that there's a specific place that I can go to record things like that so I don't forget about them and I'm reminded about them in exactly the right place. So let me talk through the whole thing. First of all, the first step is choosing a topic, and I've put that in a separate Evernote note. So the first benefit is that I can link the notes together, and my approach is to not try and to break things down into logical units and not to have too much in one place. So my notes about deciding on a topic are here. And the other thing you'll notice is that this is still a little bit vague. I haven't got a particularly structured approach. So just giving myself a few guidelines, relates to a good keyword, continues an earlier theme, pick a context, depending on the context, do one or more of, do I want to pick a good keyword, maybe look at the last 10 posts, look at RSS feeds. So these are the general guidance, and these are the things I would do under the particular context. So it's just reminders. I may, by the time I get here, I may know exactly what I want to do the post about, but I've got that guidance there, and I can update it as I think of more things on how to make that decision. Eventually, this will become more systematic, I suspect. But the principle there is that I can go off and put specific knowledge in another piece of guidance. The next is load the voice recognition page. In fact, let me just do that. So what I do is, you can't see it. I like to use voice recognition to create, oh, it's actually working, to create my posts. And so I use this tool. So there we go. And you can transfer. So what I'd normally do is do it like this. So I would say something like this, and you could see it coming up on the screen. And I hit Control V and it goes into there. So I'd be writing my draft text in Evernote. So I'd have my Evernote Note up, and I'd be using this tool in the background. Let me stop that recording. Again, it just makes it that bit easier. I've got the link in there to load up the page immediately. I'm telling you what to do. Click Start Recording, tick Transfer to Clipboard. Then write the draft note in Evernote, and I remind myself exactly where I'm going to store that note. Then I take that text, copy it into, this probably should be, that should probably be up here. There we go. I'm adjusting this as I go along. So write the draft note and Evernote. Use the guidance. So I've got a separate note which gives me guidance on writing a blog post. Again, most of this stuff I would remember because I'm doing quite a lot of blog posts now. But if I were to not do any for a while and then go back, this is a good reminder of all the key nuggets, or some of the key nuggets. I haven't got them all in here, about writing a good post. So, for example, the first paragraph should be promotion of the rest of the article. I'd actually written this some while ago, and I hadn't looked at this Evernote note for some while. And then in preparing this video, I went and had a look at it, and actually there's some useful information there that I hadn't been using, which is crazy. So the first X words are going to appear as an excerpt, in RSS feeds. So they need to be written as a sort of promotion for the rest of the article. Got a note there about ActiveCampaign, which I used to use. I don't use that anymore. Talk about the body, the length, about an internal link, external link, keywords. Actually, a lot of this guidance comes, I get prompted to do with that using the Yoast SEO, the plugin that I use. But other things like including lists, headings, images and videos. This is useful. If you're going to quote somebody, then you can find their Twitter account. Just tweet them to tell them you've quoted them, because that raises your profile with them, and if they've got a big following, they may retweet that or forward it, and you get more coverage for your blog. And you could embed tweets in blog posts, which is quite useful. Stuff about metadata and so on. Check the appearance in social media, so you can put the URL. This is actually useful. That should probably be somewhere else. Sorry, I'm adjusting this as I go along. I mean, this is what tends to happen as I use these processes. I'm always fiddling with them. Edit the post. So probably at that point, that's where I would do that. So yeah, so I've moved that particular line now into the main part of my guidance, because I think it's more relevant to go there. So where are we? So we've gone through writing the draft in Evernote, then copying it into WordPress, remind myself, and I do a lot of trial and error to post it into the WordPress post using text mode, because if I just copy from Evernote into the WordPress without in text mode, the formatting goes all awry, the line spacing and so on goes really hard to adjust. Do various edits, and that really using Yoast SEO, which is plugin that I've got, and that really helps me optimize it. Find an image, ideally align it with the requirements for Facebook ads. So there's another link there, which this is a place where you can upload an image, and Facebook will tell you whether there's too much text on it for a Facebook ad. That's basically all that does, but it's very handy, because if you want to use the same image on the blog post, if you're going to post a link to the post in Facebook using the same image, and then you want to promote that Facebook post, you want the image to comply with Facebook's ad requirements about the amount of text. There's links to the tools that I could use to create the image: Pixabay to find images, Canva to modify them. I've also got Photoshop, but Canva is really fast for the simpler forms modification. checking the appearance in social media, make sure it looks right. Actually, I haven't done that for a while, so next time I do the blog post, I'm actually going to use this and see what I need to do to make the adjustments. There's probably some learning I'll gain from there about how to adjust things so that the post looks good and the images look right on Facebook, and that what I learn will go into this process. Then the beginning, the part about some of the syndication, in particular about tweets. I was using Social Oomph, and I had a big tweet bank about loads of tweets that I was automatically tweeting. That's been put on hold because of changes to the Twitter rules. So all this is still to be resolved. So again, my goal generally is to get the blog post done, and then as and when I can, I will adjust and tweak the processes. So I don't necessarily need to have everything, the process finalized at any given point. At some point I will go back and sort this out, and then I'll put the documentation in there. I use Kartra for my marketing system, and very often I put a form at the bottom of a blog post. Let me just show you. So here's an earlier blog post I wrote earlier this month, and at the bottom I've got this form. So the way I've got a system for managing all my Kartra entities. So this line says, reminds me to think, actually, do I want to put a form at the bottom of the post? And if I do that, I need to update my records of where forms have been used. So this is just my other form of record keeping relating to Kartra. So there's that there, and there's a link to enable me to quickly update my records. Then it comes on to syndication. Some of this is just a reminder. Some of the syndication I use with IFTTT. I use a tool called SyndLab. And although I can set it to syndicate automatically, I prefer to wait till I'm quite ready, and then I go to the posts page in my blog. So I've got a link directly to there, and I can do things like click syndicate, and that will do the syndication for that particular, for the post, the new blog post. So that, again, that link makes it easy to do that. I've got somewhere where I talk about content promotion and repurposing. Again, this is a process that I started to put together a while ago with a fairly detailed repurposing process, which I don't go through, but I might want to take bits of that and refine my processes as I go along. So there's some useful stuff that I've captured in the past, which I want to refer to in exactly that point. So I've just got it there, and that is a way that I will update the content of this process at some point. And then this thing about measuring performance, as I mentioned. So that's it. To summarize, there's a lot of reasons to my mind for documenting your processes, or this type of process, in something like Evernote. It doesn't have to be Evernote, it could be OneNote, it could be Google Docs. There's a lot of reasons for using Google Docs, but I happen to be a heavy Evernote user, so I choose to use Evernote. The key that you want is to be able to link things together very easily, and obviously Evernote notes can link together, but also in Evernote you can put links to pretty much anywhere else. You can, by the way, the nice thing about Evernote is you can put links to folders on your hard drive. So if you want to refer to locations on your hard drive, Evernote is a great tool to do that. You can't do that in something like Google Docs. It'll only allow you to put proper hyperlinks in there. In Evernote you can put links to locations on your hard drive, which makes it really useful. So the reasons, to summarize some of the reasons for documenting processes like this, is first, it acts like a checklist to make sure everything gets done. So you can see each bullet point is a checklist. It's part of a checklist. It's also a repository for storing the knowledge you learned from various sources which you want to apply to your business. So if things that you learn only stay in your head or on bits of paper or notes scattered all over the place, it's really hard to apply that knowledge to your business. So you can see I've was beginning to do that. I got a little note there, a little note there. I've now that they're still not completely systematized, but at least I've got links to them in the right place. So that's a really good reason. Another is, as I was going on about, be able to link to the resources you need as you go through the process. So I can very quickly go to see the requirements of Facebook. I can open Pixabay and Canva. Obviously, you can put shortcuts in your browser, but you don't even have to bother looking for the shortcut. The links are right there in the process. So for all those reasons, they contribute to helping you perform the process more quickly and also more consistently. And of course, if you get to the point where you want to outsource the work, you've already created the guidance that you can give to your outsourcer. So I hope you found that helpful. And as I said, in a future video, I'll talk about a rather more sophisticated approach to process documentation using Google Sheets. Just one last thing to note: if you want to get a copy of this text of this process, if you're watching this video on my blog post, obviously you can see it on the blog post. If you're watching it on YouTube, just click the link in the description of the video, and it will take you to my blog post, and there I actually embed this text, at least this top level, this stuff, in my blog post. You'll obviously want to modify it for your own use, but there's some it's a good useful starting point for you. Thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and interesting. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you would click the like button below to show your appreciation, and also please do make a comment. Finally, please do click this circle right here to subscribe to my channel so you get notified of my future videos, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.